Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me, of course, on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Today, we're going to be breaking down last night's 5-game NBA slate. We're going to jump into tomorrow's 8-game slate, and we're going to finish out the week pretty strong. I mean, started off really hot, kind of tailed off, had a smaller slate Tuesday and then Thursday. Not really a fan of the smaller slate, so I was able to keep a lot of what I won on Monday just because I play lightly on the smaller slates. I think we had like a 3-game slate on Tuesday, I think, and then we had a 5-game slate. Last night, didn't play those a lot. Had a few lineups in, but I do that just so I can stay abreast of what's going on and kind of keep touch and keep my finger on the pulse of the NBA fantasy world. So I did play lightly, did not cash, ran a couple lineups, wasn't really feeling the slate as a whole. Once I did all my research, got the spreadsheets together, got all of the information out to everybody in the DFS sweatshop, I just did not, and plus I was working both jobs today, was at the barbershop all day, had to drop the radiator in the caddy, so we're gonna get that. I'm telling you, hey, pretty soon it's gonna be purring like a kitten, baby. We're getting it together. Now, had to go to the restaurant. I had a meeting at 2:30 at the restaurant. Then met with the homie, met with the programmer. We are putting the finishing touches on the new website. The relaunch is going to be a whole lot of new awesome shit. We're going to be rolling into baseball swinging, no pun intended. It's going to be a very, very solid point for us to really grow as a DFS crew, man. And everybody that has been with us since the beginning, you will definitely reap the benefits of staying down the way you have been. So we're going to go ahead and kind of roll into our regular formatting of the show. We saw some very solid basketball last night. Now, one of the things that I always talk about is stacking. On a 5 games or less, I love to stack. And if you stack the right games on this slate, if you stack the right games on the slate, most notably that Portland game, then you had the Portland-Philadelphia game, you had some access to some really, really high-scoring plays. So stacking is always the way that I like to go to start my lineups when it comes to these 5-game slates. But you're not limited to doing that. You can do whatever you want. If you want to rock with a core of plays, whatever you want to do, whatever works for you. I just like to tell you what I'm doing. That's how this whole thing started. It all started because I told you the way I was winning and what made me a profitable player. It has still been a very profitable week for me. I'm still up. I'm playing with house money. I kind of scaled back my buy-ins, waiting for a nice 8-game or a 10-game slate. We've got, I think, a couple more of those heading into the rest of the week. So I'm very excited about that. I did some preview myself, just checking some things out, man, and I'm really comfortable. We don't have a ton of point guard plays on the slate coming up. So I think it's going to be a forward slate, power forward, small forward slate. We got a few options at center that are going to be pretty appetizing. But I think where you're really going to make your money on today's slate is by rostering the right combinations of guys that are either shooting guard small forward eligible, small forward power forward eligible, or power forward center eligible. I don't think it's going to be a straightforward type of slate. It's going to be a lot of nooks and crannies that we've got to open up. And that's what we're going to do throughout this show. We're going to talk about all of that. But the first thing we're going to do is jump into the feature for plays of the night. These are the 4 most talked about, tweeted about guys in the DFS sweatshop, in the Facebook VIP, and as well as on Twitter. We're going to start with the Who Dat, scoring all them points over there, player tonight. And this is a guy who I have come to grow very fond of. Something that I really like about this player is how well he is received by the fan base. Now, he plays in Memphis, so whenever they're at the Grindhouse, man, they really get up and cheer this guy on. He is probably the most beloved player in the short history of the Memphis Grizzlies, and I'm talking about the big homie, Zach Randolph. Z-Bo was only 6% owned on a 5-game slate, goes out at 5.8K in salary, and brings you back 36.25 DraftKings points. I cannot stress this to you enough. Whenever you see Z-Bo at the Grindhouse in a plus matchup, especially if you think for a moment that the Memphis Grizzlies are going to be able to handle this game and be able to play very well enough to where you see a fair amount of minutes for the first big off of the bench, which is going to be Z-Bo. Give him a look. You've got to. The next guy I'm going to talk about is how did I miss that play tonight? And I missed this guy simply because I did not stack Philadelphia. And we're talking about Robert Covington. He was 6.9K in salary, 18% owned, went out and scored 51.75 DraftKings points. That was an excellent game we saw from him. Now, and this is check this out now. This is something that I want to talk to you about real quick because I say this every show. And I talk about this every show. Make a late lineup, throw that bitch in the main. I say that every show. And if you rostered simply in the main, let's say you just rostered in the main. All you played last night was the main slate. And you didn't have any Nurkic. You didn't have this guy, right? If you had made a lineup in the late, there's a good chance you would have had Nurkic in there. And threw it in the main, you would have been one of the 22% of motherfuckers who had the dude that had a career high, the heat check player tonight. The motherfucker went out and dropped the Kobe 81, 7K, almost 12x. You would have had him. You would have had him. I guarantee you. If you watch the show, if you are a part of the sweatshop and you watch the show, and you had done like I told you to make that late lineup, throw it in the main, you're smart enough. There's no doubt in my mind you would have had Yusuf Nurkic in your lineup. Then you would have threw that shit in the main, and you'd have been part of 22%. That should cut the field. That should just cut the fucking field in slices. Having him in your lineup. And if you had done that, you would definitely have been standing somewhere near the winner's circle. So tonight's heat check play tonight, salute, is going to go to Yusuf Nurkic. This is egg on my face. I did not believe in this guy as a player. I was of the mindset that when a team gets rid of a guy like that, that they automatically, they prematurely got rid of him. In hindsight, they did. But when a team gets rid of a guy like that, I think I kind of thought that he was damaged goods. He just was not, the player that they thought they had in him. But it turns out that he's got a new lease on his NBA life, and he's playing on a team that looks like they need him, and he looks better than Plumlee does, and he's playing very well, And it's a shame because now the next time I try to roster this dude, he's going to be above 7K. Well, I had opportunities to roster him when he was at 5. My bad. So not only is he the heat check player of the night, but he is the how the fuck did I miss that player of the month. I haven't had any meaningful exposure to Yusuf Nurkic since he went from the Denver Nuggets to the Portland Trailblazers, and that's my bad. That's on me. So now we must talk about that one motherfucker. We must do this. We have to uncover the farce that is this one motherfucker that went out and at 7.4K stole that from us, 18% in ownership. So on a 5-game slate, he was in position to separate us, to set us apart from a lot of other motherfuckers who were smart enough to not play his ass. We talking about you, Mike Conley, with your old snowflake ass. You ran off on a motherfucking plug. How the fuck do you go out 7.4K, match up against Chris Paul? Early in the season, you snatched his soul. You dumbed out on him. But tonight, you decided to be a little bitch and lay down and give us 23.75 DraftKings points. That is a horrible showing. You're the highest paid point guard in the fucking league. You're the highest paid point guard in the league. 150 million. 150 million for 23.75 DraftKings points. Man, you ran off on the motherfucking plug. And for that, you's a motherfucking snowflake with your snowflake ass, and I ain't gonna roster your bitch ass again. But let's get on with the rest of the motherfucking show. Now, let's go ahead and jump into a very brief recap of last night's games. We've got a few marquee players on the bill, or that were on the bill last night. That's why I think we should go ahead and run through the recaps. Just take a look at what those guys did and how well or not they did play. We're going to start with the Detroit Pistons. This game was in Detroit, where the Cleveland Cavaliers were coming to town. And, LeBron, man. LeBron is playing on another level right now. LeBron has said things that we must be paying attention to. He said things like, I want to lead the league in minutes. He feels some type of way that the rest of the stars in the league are being more talked about. I mean, everybody is sucking off Russell Westbrook every night. Everybody was on Kevin Durant's dick every day, and LeBron just sat there and is like willing his team to competitiveness. Because I'm gonna tell you, this is not a good team. The Cleveland Cavaliers are not a good team. Without Kevin Love, with all of the guys that left the team, I'm talking about Mo Williams leaving, fucking Matthew Dellavedova leaving, J.R. Smith being injured. Like the bench fucking sucks. And if Cleveland ever gets a lead, if LeBron ever gets the lead and goes and sit down and take a rest, whew, and I got us a 10-point lead. By the time the man on his second cup of Gatorade, the lead is gone and he got to get back in the game. So this dude is playing on another level right now. And anytime you can get your hands on LeBron under 11K for the rest of the season, I'm just telling you, give him a look. I think you should get him in your lineup. So we're going to start on the Cleveland side with the aforementioned LeBron James. Another triple-double, 39 minutes for him, led the team actually. He had 29 points, 13 boards, 10 assists, 2 steals, while shooting 54% from the field. The worst part about this game was LeBron took 6 3-point shots and did not hit a single one. He also only hit 5 of 8 free throws. If he has a better shooting game from behind the arc, maybe he could make up for some of the Nurkic that some of us didn't have. But he had a really excellent game. Richard Jefferson in 33 minutes had 9 and 7 to go with 2 assists. In his 33 minutes, we saw Tristan Thompson shit the bed and destroy my lineup. I had a Cleveland stack for 25 minutes. He had 4 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. Not a great game at all from him. Kyrie Irving was second on the team in scoring. In 39 minutes, he had 27 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists while shooting 50% from the field. He, just like LeBron, took 6 3-point shots, but he only hit 1 of them. Not a good day shooting the basketball for most of the Cleveland 3-point shooters, but we did see Channing Frye have a really solid game. In 21 minutes, he had 15 points, 9 boards, 1 steal. He hit 5 of 7 3-pointers, did not get to the free throw line, but he shot 71% from the field. That is awesome. That was a very great game we saw from him. Iman Shumpert, in his 35 minutes, had 8 and 1 with 1 assist, and we did see a small amount of J.R. Smith. Didn't look very good. He needs to probably knock off some of that rust. At 19 minutes, he had 3 points and 1 rebound, while shooting 1 for 9 from the field. The dude shot 11%. Not a great game there at all. And the Detroit Pistons played fairly well. They beat this team. They played fairly well. Tobias Harris led the team in minutes. He played 41 minutes, had 15 and 9 to go with 2 assists. Also blocked a couple shots. He shot 27% from the field. Not a great shooting game for him. And he did not hit a 3-point shot, although he took 3 of them. Not a great game shooting the ball. But fantasy-wise, he got the job done at his price point. Marcus Morris in 31 minutes had 12 and 5 to go with 3 assists and 2 steals. Shot 36% from the field. Not a great shooting game for him. But Andre Drummond in his 35 minutes had 20 and 16 boards to go with 4 assists while shooting 76% from the field. That's the way a big man is supposed to do it. That was nice. And just the fact that, they didn't do that bitch shit, that hacker Drummond thing, that was cool. It was cool for you to roster him. It was very cool. Reggie Jackson had a solid game, showed some signs of life. In 31 minutes, he had 21 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal. Ish Smith only played 16 minutes in this game. He had 12 and 3 to go with 3 assists and 1 steal. And games like this show you that Van Gundy likes Reggie Jackson. He just wants him to fucking play well. If Stan Van Gundy sees Reggie Jackson playing well in the first quarter, he's not going to fucking yank him and never put him back in because Ish Smith comes in and plays well. The dude rolls with the hot hand. So if Reggie Jackson can be the hot hand early in games, we won't be having the issues with him that we've been having all season long. But if it was that simple, I guess Reggie would just play well. But very, 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 very loyal coach he does have as Van Gundy. Van Gundy's a very loyal coach. We also saw Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for 33 minutes. Not a great game there. 15 points and 2 assists while shooting 50% from the field. Didn't take a bunch of shots. Didn't play particularly well. Next game I'm going to talk about is the Memphis Grizzlies getting the doors blown off their bitch ass at the Grindhouse. We're going to start on the LA Clippers side. We saw Blake Griffin for 30 minutes. He had 14 and 12 to go with 8 assists. Damn near triple-doubled on him. Also had a block shot. He only shot 30% from the field. Not a great shooting game for him, but a pretty decent fantasy game for the price point. DeAndre Jordan only scored 5 points, but he did go up and come down with 11 boards. He also blocked 2 shots while shooting 50% from the field. He only took 2 shots the entire game. He hit 1 and missed 1. Not a great game there. JJ Redick in 17 minutes had 15 and 1. He does nothing but score. And that's the problem with JJ Redick. JJ Redick will have he could have 25 real life points and have less actual fantasy points. Like, the dude just doesn't do anything else. Chris Paul, another disappointing performance from him. In 27 minutes, he had 19 and 4 rebounds, go at 7 assists while shooting 53% from the field. He did hit 3 of 6 3-point shots. And Jamal Crawford, Jay Crossover, the old man, still getting it in. 26 minutes for him. He had 4 points, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Solid game there. And Austin Rivers in 32 minutes, some of it scrub love. He had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists while shooting 7 for 10 from the field. And Raymond Felton also got into the action, had 11 points, 4 boards, and 2 assists. Pretty solid game there. Now, you could have stacked some of the Clipper bench guys and really came off, man. It was this is definitely if you put the correct amount of thought into your stack, man, you definitely could have had some really solid stacks in this state. Really, you really could. Next team we're talking about is the Memphis Grizzlies. We talked about the snowflake of the night, Mike Conley, already. He had 35 minutes, led the team in fucking minutes. 13 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. Not a great game. He shot 21% from the field, hit 3 of 14 shots. Horrible. Zebo off of the bench in 25 minutes had 18 and 11 with 1 steal and 1 block. He shot 53% from the field. Pretty good game there from Zach Randolph. We saw a pretty solid game off of the bench for Troy Daniels. In 16 minutes, he had 13 and 1 to go with 1 assist while shooting 80% from the field. And we saw 33 minutes of Marc Gasol. Wasn't a great game there for him. He had 20 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. And Brandon Wright, he only played 15 minutes, but he had 8 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, and 2 steals. That was pretty decent for that price point. And we also saw Vince Carter for 23 minutes. He had 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. Not a great game there for him. The next game I'm going to talk about is the Oklahoma City Thunder at home taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Now, everybody hit me up and was like, oh, man, Kawhi has got to be a fucking snowflake. Kawhi is a snowflake, motherfucking snowflake, blah, blah, blah. But you know what, man? The dude got hurt, man. I mean, of course, he wasn't playing very well before he got hurt. But, I mean, it's Kawhi. It's Kawhi, you know? I mean, I didn't have too much of him anyway, just because I hate paying up that much for him. I just hate paying up that much for Kawhi because these Popovich teams, man, they're so fucking weird and it's so hard to like gauge on a day-to-day. And I felt like I stole something the last time I rostered Kawhi and he dropped that 60-some-odd points Monday. And I just said, you know what, I'm not gonna keep on testing it, man, because he's not a 10K player. He's not. Kawhi Leonard is not a 10. He's not a 9K player. And it's not about his skill set. It's the fact that the team, they play such team-oriented basketball that, you know, of course, he's always the focal point. But, I mean, I'm just used to them blowing teams out so much, him not being around in the fourth quarter to play, Pop, you know, really spreading the offense around, getting other people involved. And if he was like more of a selfish player, he could do the same thing, in my opinion. He can do the same thing that Russell Westbrook does if he really wants to. But he just doesn't want to. It's a Popovich coach team. We're not going to see that, you know, that insane, you know, usage only to him. Like, there's going to be other guys scoring the basketball and trying to score. And, you know, he did get hurt in this game. He only played 26 minutes. He had 19 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. And the reason why I can't give him a Snowflake Award because Monday, he was in a very similar situation. He started off slow. And, boy, let me tell you, he took me to the money that night. So he gets a pass. He was not a snowflake for me tonight. So pretty disappointing that he did have an injury. It was a head injury. I hope he is okay. LaMarcus Aldridge in 31 minutes leading the team had 17 and 6 to go with 1 assist. Not a great game there for him at all. We saw Dwayne Dedmon for 19 minutes. He had 8 points, 8 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. That was pretty decent for him. Danny Green in 28 minutes had 9 and 1 with 3 assists and 1 steal. And you see how everybody's like scoring around the same. You know what I mean? Like, this is just the way this team plays. This is the makeup of this team. Paul Gasol in 23 minutes had 18 and 7 with 1 assist. Not a great game from him, but it was a solid game for Paul. Not too much to talk about off of the San Antonio bench. On the Oklahoma City side, another guy that started out very slow was Enes Kanter, but he did finish the game with a double-double in 24 minutes. He had 14 points and 10 rebounds. Pretty solid there. Russell Westbrook did not he didn't go overly ham. He didn't go turkey ham, but he did go ham. He didn't go turkey ham, but he went ham. In 35 minutes, he had 23 points, 13 boards, 13 assists, and 2 steals. And usually, the Oklahoma City Thunder don't blow people out. And if it was the case that this game was going to be a little bit closer, we would have saw a little bit more Russell Westbrook. He really probably would have went off about 80. That's just the zone that he was in. He only shot 33% from the field. He hit 7 of 21, hit 1 of 6 3-point shots, and just wasn't shooting the ball from the field very well. If he cleans up that shooting percentage, man, he was definitely an 80-point player tonight. Steven Adams finally had a okay game. In 29 minutes, he had 11 and 6, went shooting 62% from the field. We saw Anthony Roberson for 27 minutes. He had 7 points, 5 boards, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 1 block. Pretty solid game there, filling up the stat sheet. Taj Gibson got the start for Domantas Sabonis. Now, was this just a strategy for this game thing, or can we finally put Domantas Sabonis out to pasture? Man, that dude is one of the worst of all of the rookies that are in the league. I don't know why this dude is starting or had been starting up until this point. I have no idea. Next game I'm going to talk about, Portland Trailblazers at the Motor Center taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. The beautiful thing about this game was there were some this is cheaply stackable. Like, you could have stacked the shit out of this game for the cheap and really made a dent in these tournaments, man. We're going to start on the Philadelphia 76ers side, where the game did go in overtime. Robert Covington, he played 39 minutes, had 24 points, 13 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. Dario Saric led the team in minutes, had 40, had a really solid game, fell 1 rebound shy of that double-double bonus that we like to see. He had 28 points, leading the team in scoring, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 steals, shooting 68% from the field. Dude hit 4 of 7 3-point shots. Dario Saric is the real deal. He is. And he's making a case for Rookie of the Year. Just for the simple fact that he's playing. He's actually playing games. Not like Joel Embiid, who, of course, Embiid healthy is better than Saric at this point, but he's just not playing. You got to show up to work, bro. He can't show up to work. He can't win the award. It's got to go to Dario Saric. Jahlil Okafor in 28 minutes had 16 and 8 to go with 1 assist. That was not a bad play there. Sauce played 25 minutes, only had 3 points. Horrible game there. And TJ McConnell is making a case for being the worst NBA player in the league. Dude is like approaching Aaron Aflalo status. Like, he is officially dead to me. I will never, ever roster TJ McConnell again. He's fucking dead to me. It's over. Bye, TJ. Gerald Henderson in 28 minutes had 14 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. And we saw Rashawn Holmes for 22 minutes. He had 10 points and 6 rebounds with 1 steal and 1 block. And what the fuck was up with the Sean Long thing? Everybody was like, oh, Sean Long. That dude didn't play a fucking minute. Dude didn't play a minute. And that's the reaching we have to do sometimes on these short slates, man. Horrible play if you did get him in your lineups. On the Portland Trailblazers side, Maurice Harkless damn near doubled in this game. In 39 minutes, he had 10 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Pretty solid game there, filling up the stat sheet. Jusuf Nurkic, man, dude was the fucking beast of the night. He went ham. In 37 minutes, he had 28 points, 20 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 6 blocks. I mean, the dude damn near had a quadruple fucking double. I mean, he went nuts. He shot 50% from the field, 10 of 13 from the free throw line. Man, dude just had an awesome game. One of the best games I've seen so far this season. CJ McCollum, in 41 minutes, leading the team, had 23 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. And we saw a fairly decent game from Dame Lillard. In 40 minutes, he had 24 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. Pretty solid game there. Allen Crabbe, off of the bench, continues to shoot hot. In 24 minutes, he had 18 points and 4 rebounds to go with 1 steal. Solid game there from him. Didn't see much from Al-Farouq Aminu. He played 37 minutes and only had 2 points. He had 5 boards, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Not a great game at all from Al-Farouq Aminu. The last game on the slate is going to be the Phoenix Suns at home taking on the LA Lakers. The Lakers got a win, man, a much-needed W there for them. And we saw, the team leader, the point guard, D'Angelo Russell, lead the team in scoring. In 33 minutes, he had 28 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, and 3 steals. Pretty solid game there from him. He shot 50% from the field and hit 6 of 9 3-point shots. That was nice. Decent game we saw from Brandon Ingram. In 40 minutes, he had 14 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks, filling up the stat sheet. He shot 45% from the field, took 3 3-point shots, did not hit any of them, only shot 50% from the free throw. Could have been a much bigger game from Brandon Ingram. Julius Randle, in 32 minutes, had 13 and 8 to go with 4 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Wasn't horrible, but it wasn't a great game there. Tariq Black only played 14 minutes, but he had 9 points and 6 boards. And we saw a decent game from Ivica Zubac off of the bench. In 16 minutes, he had 14 and 3 with 1 steal and 2 blocks. Pretty solid game we saw from him. Jordan Clarkson off of the bench in 35 minutes had 19 and 2 to go with 3 assists and 2 steals. And Larry Nance Jr., 13 and 8 to go with 2 assists, 1 steal while shooting 60% from the field. Pretty solid game we saw from many of the LA Lakers. On the Phoenix Suns side, man, Brandon Knight didn't play. Tyson Chandler, of course, didn't play. Ronnie Price didn't play. Those guys are just completely out of the rotation. And it's got to kind of suck because Tyson Chandler had not been playing very well since his mom passed, and he took that time off, and Alan Williams kind of blew up. And he hasn't really, found his way back into the rotation strongly ever since then. So shout out to Tyson Chandler, man. I know how it feels to lose your mom, man, but it's got to affect you in some kind of way. So let's not be hard on Tyson Chandler being removed from the rotation. He had issues going on outside of basketball, and we know, some things are just bigger than sports. Some things are bigger than DFS. I really hope that Tyson Chandler is doing well in terms of his mom passing and how it may affect him and his family. So T.J. Warren in 39 minutes had 17 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks. A really good game there. We saw a nice one from Marcus Chris. In 26 minutes, he had 18 and 6 with 1 assist and 1 steal. Didn't see a great game from Eric Bledsoe. In 31 minutes, he had 13 and 7 with 5 assists and 2 steals. And Alan Williams is just a fucking walking double-double. In 22 minutes, he had 16 points, 10 boards, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. And we saw Devin Booker for 38 minutes. He did something else besides score. He did get 6 rebounds, had 3 assists, but he scored 23 points. That was very solid. Shooting 47% from the field, hit 1 of 4 3-point shots, both of his free throws. Not a bad game. Not a bad game at all. Not a bad game we saw from the homie Devin Booker. Alex Len in 22 minutes had 8 and 6 with 1 steal and 1 block. Not a great game there for him. Now that we've recapped last night's 5-game slate, let's go ahead and look forward to today's 8-game right now. If you know me, if you've been following the show, if you know me, I love the 8-game slate. This is kind of where I am able to do my thing. I don't know what it is about a 6, 7, 8, 9-game slate, but this is where I've had most of my success when it comes to NBA DFS. So let's go ahead and pop it open, man. We're going to check it out. And just to do a quick slate recognition. Now, you know what I'm going to say. Everybody say it with me, man. You know what I'm going to say. Look, now, we've got 8 games jumping off at 7 p.m., right? 8 games jumping off 7 p.m. Well, at 8 o'clock, we've got 4 games jumping off. So you can make a nice stacked lineup in that. Throw that bitch in the main. What this does is centers your focus. It narrows your focus. Makes you to look at a smaller player pool and select from there. So take a shot on that. Really pay attention. Then you've got the 3-game late. You can do the same thing. Stack something in the 3-game. See, and the reason why I like 8-game slates particularly so much is because people aren't as prone to stack on an 8-game slate. On an 8-game slate, people are not going to stack as much as they would on a 4 or 5, even a 6-game slate. Because on a 6-game slate, you're going to see some people stack it up. But on an 8-game slate, it gives you just enough options to where, your opponent may not think that a stack will be in order. They're going to continue to cherry pick. But on an 8-game slate, I can have a core 4 that I like, a core of plays, and I can stack something the rest of the way. And there's a particular stack that I fucking love for tomorrow. It is not very expensive. It gives me some exposure to probably one of the best point totals on the slate. It's not very expensive, but these are all the better guys on that team, and it's going to give me an opportunity to kind of, still work my core 4 into having the stack. So just stay tuned. We're gonna talk about it. All right. So like I said, make you something in the 4-game turbo tomorrow. Throw that bitch in the main, or make something in the 3-game. Throw that bitch in the main. Just do it. It works. Just do it. So let's go ahead and pop this puppy open. Get it started. And what we want to do here, this is where we're going to generate our initial player pool. This is where we're going to, really get comfortable with how we're going to approach the slate. If we're going to look at it and say, you know what, I'm not fucking with him. Oh, I like him. Oh, yeah. No, we're going to do that right now. We're going to set it off. So now, they're trying to make it up to us with all of these, 13.5 Russell Westbrooks and 1,300 James Harden. We are now getting James Harden at an incredible discount. 11.6. Now, at this point, anytime you get him or Russell Westbrook under 12K, you've got to give him consideration. I'm not saying, James Harden is a must play, but what I'm saying to you is 67 points is what we want from James Harden, in this matchup. Away from home, playing Chicago, who is very weak against the point guard position. I don't care what the 16th ranked DVP tells you. They're even worse than that. This is one of the worst teams in the league defending the point guard and shooting guard position, just the perimeter in general. I really think we can look to James Harden tomorrow. Maybe not as a core play. But if you want to pay up in a certain spot, that would be the first place that I would go. Before I would pay up for a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns or for Nikola Jokic, who is questionable, or even Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is in that not so great a matchup. I would go hard. The only person I would be like, nah, I'd rather stay right here would be Jimmy Butler or John Wall. Nah, I want to stay here. I'm not gonna pay for Harden. I'll stay right here. Those are the only two guys. So Karl-Anthony Towns, you kind of know already how I feel about him. He is not exempt to being taken off of the floor by the Golden State small ball lineup because he can't keep up with Draymond Green. He just can't do it. And at 10.6K, man, we're looking for 64 points from him. Can he get that? Yeah, certainly. But I think there's other ways that we can go to get that similar production. Nikola Jokic, if he does play, we'd love to attack Denver, rebounding the basketball, and I think that puts him in play. I mean, this guy can get a triple double at a moment's notice. So if he is 100% fully recovered and healthy, ready to play, and going to see a full allotment of minutes, and we can confirm that at some point during the day tomorrow before lock, I wouldn't have a problem with Nikola Jokic. I am not going to be on Giannis tomorrow at 10.1. I did somebody else in this game that I like a little bit more. Not saying Giannis has a bad game. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, for the team discount, for the Milwaukee team discount, where all of the players on the team cost, there's another spot I would go to that's significantly cheaper than Giannis that I think is going to have a really solid game. Could have a better game than Giannis tomorrow at the price point. John Wall, definitely. I always love John Wall, man. One of the best point guards in the league. One of my top 5 point guards. Love him to death. At 10K, going up against Darren Collison and that Sacramento Kings perimeter game. Plus, we know that Sacramento Kings are going to be home, so they're going to get that home dog bump, which maybe the game stays a little bit closer than the point spread says. You can give me some John Wall tomorrow. Steph Curry, he's finally under 10K. Just my luck. I'm going to fade him. He's going to go out and have the game that I thought he was going to have last time out, but I probably will not have much exposure to Steph Curry. Jimmy Butler at 9.4 is in a super plus matchup. I like him, especially attacking the Chicago Bulls wing. Attacking the Houston Rockets wing. I think he can have a very solid game at 9.4K, and automatically he's core 4 considerable. Isaiah Thomas is in a spot that I really like tonight at 8.7K. We can definitely, anytime Isaiah's under 9K, man, we can. This is a dude. The dude was almost 11 grand a couple months ago. Went on an insane, incredible stretch. Kind of tapered off a little bit, but he's got Avery Bradley back, and I think that that's going to help his assist game a little bit more because all he was doing it with points, with just straight points. I think now he's going to be able to play at more of a complete game. So I do like him. I like DeMar DeRozan at 8.5K. We know there's no Kyle Lowry. The usage has to go somewhere. Most of it goes to DeMar DeRozan. He's a player that I definitely can get behind at 8.5K tomorrow. Kemba Walker is at the crib, but it's going up against the Orlando Magic, and they are very rough on point guards. But just the fact that Kemba's at home makes me, want to give him a shot tomorrow. It's only an 8-game slate. There's not a ton of point guard depth. I think a few of us are going to take a shot on Kemba. He's going to be less than 10% owned, I presume. I kind of like the spot he's in, unless Kemba's going to see low ownership, unless Batum doesn't play. Because Batum is questionable. He did leave the game, came back. The ankle, he rolled his ankle. Sometimes those things get inflamed and you can't play the next game, but you can finish the game that you're in. Maybe he could sit out. I'm not particularly sure yet. Last time I saw, he was probable. He was questionable and got upgraded to probable Thursday. So we've gotta pay attention to that. Draymond Green at 8K. I think that definitely deserves consideration. going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't have a problem there. I like the spot that Paul George is in at 7.8K. I haven't gotten any of the hot streak Paul George. I think I'm going to take a shot and get a piece of it tomorrow. I like him. Excuse me, today I like him. Bradley Beal at 7.5 definitely is. I'm going to definitely have some Brad Beal tomorrow. I do like a mini stack with the Washington Wizards. This is not my main stack I was talking about, but with Wall and Beal, I do like that. I do like that tonight. Andrew Wiggins at 7.4 definitely deserves consideration. I like him there. I do like Paul Millsap at 7.4 as well. Not as much as I like Wiggins, but I do like Paul Millsap as well. Vooch, I really hope Vooch plays tomorrow so we can stop all this Biyombo shit. Because if you started Biyombo last time at 5.5, he got your 14 DraftKings points. You didn't start him at 3K, and you went out and got 35 DraftKings points. So this shit is crazy, and it's got to stop somewhere. I hope we see Vooch tomorrow. If he does play, we can attack the Charlotte Hornets rebounding the basketball. I do not have a problem with Nikola Vucevic tomorrow. If he is healthy. Wilson Chandler, the price is up on him. And the only way I can see myself rostering Wilson Chandler is if we know for sure that Nikola Jokic is not going to be playing today. If Jokic is playing, I'm completely fading Wilson Chandler. But if he's not, I will have exposure. Klay Thompson at 7K is not a play that I'm particularly interested in. But if I had to roster somebody across the board on the Golden State side, it would be Klay. Because he's the cheapest of the guys that can go out and give me, my best shot at 6x value. Plus, he's coming off a pretty solid game. This is a momentum position. He is a shooter, a rhythm shooter. I think he can have a solid game if I had to choose from one of them, but I don't really want to go there. There's another shooting guard option that's a little bit cheaper that I like more. Elfrid Payton at 7K. Now, the last time the dude got a triple-double, he got back-to-back triple-doubles. So this is his second time in his career getting back-to-back triple-doubles. Now, can he... Now, I'm not saying he's going to get another triple-double, but can he go ham again? Can he go ham again? Against the Charlotte Hornets, I think so. I think so. And if I was off work tomorrow, I would drive right down to Charlotte Hornets game. But I think he can have a solid game. 7K, that's not too much to ask for a guy that has that upside. But his floor is just as low as his ceiling is high. So be careful, but give Elfrid some consideration tomorrow. Dwight Howard is going to be a really, really tough force to stop tonight for the Toronto Raptors. I don't see Jonas Valanciunas being able to slow him down much. I think he's in line for a solid double-double. I would take a shot on him. Ricky Rubio has been playing very well against in unfavorable matchups. And for some reason, he's been playing very well in unfavorable matchups. I don't see that changing tomorrow just because the pace of the game is going to be so fast that Ricky Rubio is going to get a lot of touches at the basketball. And I think that's going to equate to him at 6.9K, at least giving you a solid 5x value. I don't have a problem there. Nick Batum at 6.9. If he plays, if he's healthy, he's fine. I like him more than I like Kemba. If everything is fine with him, I like him more than I like Kemba. Dennis Schroeder at 6.8K definitely looks like a really solid play. I kind of like him there. Dwayne Wade is questionable. Probably won't play tomorrow. 6.8K if he does play, I won't have much of him at all. Seth Curry, Lil Bruh at 6.7. We can always target guys that are going up against the Brooklyn Nets. We can always do that. Chris Middleton, he is the play from the Milwaukee Bucks that I like the most. The price is 6.6. Did not have a really great game out last time. Giannis had the great game. I think now they switch roles. Chris Middleton really gets into the action and has a solid one. I'm all about that. Jeff Teague at 6.5. You know what? The third-ranked DVP against the point guard position will drive a lot of people off of Jeff Teague tomorrow. But I think he is going to be a low-owned contrarian play that can really help you out. Now, ownership doesn't matter as much as it does on a 10 or a 12 or a 15 game slate. On a 12 game slate, 14 game slate, big 11 game slate, ownership doesn't matter as much unless you have a piece of overwhelming chalk that you got to decide: do I want to be part of 30% of the field at roster this guy or not? So, on an 8 game slate, it matters. Ownership matters a little bit more. So if you can get a good play at low ownership, I think you should take advantage of it. I think Jeff Teague can be that good play. I do like Harrison Barnes at 6.4K. That is a very solid price for a guy that has that 40-point upside. Serge Ibaka is not a play that I'm particularly interested in tomorrow. Markieff Morris, he would somewhat complete that Washington Wizards mini stack for me at 6.2K. He or Otto Porter, whoever I felt was in the best position at 6.1. I like both of those guys, actually. Dirk Nowitzki at 6.1. He is in play for us as well. We know we're not going to see Brook Lopez. That immediately opens up some value that we have to sit and think on earlier in the day. We know some more is going to be coming out later, but that's something that we can automatically look at. Danilo Gallinari, if he does play, I am not a huge fan. He's going to be seeing some Jay Crowder defense if he does play. I don't like him that much. Mason Plumlee at 5.9. Another guy that stands to benefit if we don't see Nikolai Jokic tomorrow. I don't have a problem with him. Aaron Gordon, you know what? He burned me last time. Aaron Gordon owes us money. I think I can collect some of that tomorrow at 5.9K. Not a problem there. I am not on Tim Hardaway Jr. tomorrow at 5.8K. I think Sefolosha comes out and has a better game at a cheaper price point. Greg Monroe is a play that I am kind of interested in. Not overly, but I'm kind of interested in him tomorrow. There's a guy a little cheaper than him that's actually starting that I think is in a much better spot. So in the same game, actually, because Greg Monroe is a horrible defender. But Evan Fournier is one of my favorite plays on the slate. We can always attack the Charlotte Hornets at the shooting guard position. The problem is that works more when they're away from the Beehive. Just the fact that they're going to be at home, I think the game's going to be close. I think that we can see a solid one from Evan Fournier. The price is only 5.7K. I don't have a problem paying up for that. If Nerlens Noel continues to get the start, he's going to be matched up against Justin Hamilton tomorrow. He can eat against Justin Hamilton. 5.7K. Get him in your lineups. I kind of like him. Gary Harris is a player that I kind of like as well. You know what? I don't like him. No, I don't like Gary Harris because he's going to be going up against Avery Bradley, who I like more. I'd rather have Avery Bradley than Gary Harris. Jay Crowder at 5.6 is not a play that I'm particularly interested in. I like the spot that Al Horford is in. This is the stack that I'm talking about. Let's say you roll out Isaiah Thomas, you roll out Al Horford, and you roll out Avery Bradley. Go ahead, do it now. Make that lineup. Make it lineup right now, and plug those guys in. Then come up with another core 4 of plays or mix and match. You can get a very solid lineup by stacking the better players on the Boston team because they're still cheap. Horford is still cheap. Avery Bradley is still cheap, and he's limited to 30 minutes. How the fuck you gonna be? That's a lot of minutes to be limited to. And you got IT2 in a very plus matchup going up against probably Jameer Nelson. So this is a very I love that stack. I'm gonna be rolling that out in a few different spots. Al Horford, we talked about him. I like him. Marvin Williams at 5.6 is not a play that I'm particularly interested in. Bismack Biyombo, the funny thing is, if Vooch sits, nobody's going to want to play Biyombo for 5.5K. But against the Charlotte Hornets, the dude can grab 20 fucking boards. So do not let what happened last time. You got to have a short memory in DFS. Do not let the fact that Biyombo only scored 14 DraftKings points when we didn't see Nikola Vucevic playing. Don't let that deter you from the fact that the dude is an unmitigated value at 5.5K against the Charlotte Hornets. He's a good play against the Hornets. Miles Turner, one of my favorite center plays on the slate. He's cheaper than Biyombo, 5.4K, in a very plus matchup against the Milwaukee Bucks. I like Miles Turner a lot tomorrow. Avery Bradley, 5.4. We just talked about him. That would really complete complete that Washington Wizards stack. That Boston Celtics stack. I like him a lot tomorrow. Corey Joseph is a no for me. Darren Collison, he does deserve consideration at 5.3 if you wanted to get a late night hammer in your lineup. Gorgui Dieng, I would play Dieng and Rubio before I would play Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins. They're cheaper and they correlate better together. Terrence Ross at 5.2 I think can be a decent play there. Cody Zeller is also a player that I like. I like him more if Vooch plays. Because Vooch has more of an offensive game around the basket. He's going to take shots around the basket, which will give Cody Zeller more rebounding opportunities. We know Biyombo is not going to be playing with his back to the basket, shooting and trying to score that close in the paint. So I would like Cody Zeller more if we do see Vucevic today. Clint Capella at 5.2. Of course, he deserves consideration. The dude is an athletic freak. He's going to be matched up with Robin Lopez. He's going to be jumping all around that dude, grabbing boards, getting to the ball faster. I like Clint Capella at 5.2K. Tyreke Evans had a really nice game out last time. They lost, and San Antonio Spurs came back and ran the ass down from like a 27-point lead. But Tyreek Evans had a very solid game. And at 5.2, I have no issue with getting him in your lineups, even though it's against the third-ranked defense against that shooting guard position. Marcin Gortat at 5.2 had a solid game out. If you want to roster him, I have no problem with that. Yogi Ferrell playing against the Brooklyn Nets, man, so of course he's in play. Wes Matthews, of course he's in play at 5.2. And there's a Dallas stack. There's a Dallas stack that you can look at that's going to be cheap. I mean, you can do a Boston-Dallas kind of deal and really get off with a high dollar one-off, man, and you could do that. It can be done. Marcus Smart, he is in play for us at 5.1K. Iguodala is a no for me. I do like Pat Beverly at 5.1K. Going to be going up against either Michael Carter Williams or Jerry Grant. I have no problem. I think those guys are such bad ball handlers that Pat Beverly is going to make his money on the defensive end, in addition to scoring some points and getting a few assists and rebounds. So I do like Pat Beverly tomorrow. Rajon Rondo probably should see a few minutes tomorrow at 5.1, but I won't have any of them. Sean Kilpatrick is one of the only guys that I can trust from the Brooklyn side to at least go out and put forth a great offensive effort. Malcolm Brogdon, the price is down on him at 5K. He moved down 500. I don't have a problem with him against Jeff Teague defense. He does deserve some form of consideration. Lou Will could be a surprising play tomorrow because everybody is down on him, man. He's been having some really bad games lately, and this is the perfect game for him to have a ton of minutes off the bench because the Houston Rockets could legit blow the doors off of the fucking Chicago Bulls. So we might see a fair amount of minutes for Lou Williams, and for him, minutes and shots equal money. Eric Gordon is not a player that I really like too much. Bojan Bogdanovic, yes, you can get some of him at 5K. The same thing that goes for the Houston Rockets against the Bulls goes for the Washington Wizards against Sacramento Kings. They could blow them out, and we could see a fair amount of minutes for Bojan Bogdanovic. Jeremy Lin, if he does get to start at 5K tomorrow, and nobody's going to play a ton of minutes, you can look to him. You definitely can. I mean, he's going to be matched up against Yogi Ferrell. Yogi Ferrell can't defend Jeremy Lin if he's, on. So, Will Barton at 4.9. He's somebody who I like. If Jokic is out, I don't want to play. I don't want to play Wilson Chandler too much because he's priced up a little bit. I like him. I like Will Barton and Plumlee. I would go Barton and Plumlee before I would go Chandler and somebody much cheaper. So I do like him tomorrow. MKG at 4.9. He definitely deserves consideration. Probably going to be matched up against Aaron Gordon. He's a very good defender. Aaron Gordon is not very good handling the basketball. We could see some turnover opportunities there that will benefit Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Ty Lawson at 4.9. I like the spot that he is in tomorrow. I think he's a very solid play as well. Willie Cauley-Stein deserves consideration at 4.9, but I'm not terribly interested in him. No Valanciunas for me tomorrow. I love the spot Trevor Booker is in at 4.7K. The Brooklyn Nets always run that high pace, high octane, out of control, running down. They always do that, and I think that benefits Trevor Booker. Whenever we see him, whoever the Brooklyn Nets play, always bump up the pace of the game because we know the pace is usually dictated by the best player on the floor, and I think there's going to be certain points in the game when Trevor Booker is going to be the second team, and that's going to be the case. Jameer Nelson at 4.6, yes, you can use some of him, especially with IT2 guarding him. He's one of the worst defenders in the league at the point guard position. I have no issue, no qualm with you rostering Jameer Nelson tomorrow. Michael Beasley is going to be out. Trevor Ariza, if we don't see Ryan Anderson again, I think Trevor Ariza can be a solid play at 4.5. Robin Lopez, again, could be in line for a almost double-double at 4.5. That's not bad. Kent Bazemore is a no for me. Ersan, no. We just talked about Ryan Anderson. He is questionable if he doesn't play. We probably see Bobby Portis get the start. I'm not a fan of that. I do like Norman Powell again. The reason why I really like Norman Powell in this matchup is all signs point to the ownership on him being lower than it should be. But number one, DeMarre Carroll probably won't play tomorrow. That's good. Powell was just 24% owned on a big 14 or 11 game slate, a huge slate. Everybody had him. He didn't play very well. Go up against the Atlanta Hawks. They suck on the wing. I do think Norman Powell has a solid game tomorrow at 4.3K. I kind of like him. Thomas Valosha, 4.2. I would go there before I would go THJ. Thaddeus Young had a solid game out at 4.2, but you know what? That's a very cheap price on the guy that was a walking double-double at one point during the season. So we got to give that some consideration because he's just too cheap. 4.2K, man, he's just too cheap. And he did have a solid game on last time. Ronnie Hollis Jefferson should see a ton of defensive usage. He's going to be guarding, I think, Harrison Barnes more often than not. And at 4.2K, you've got to give him a look. I don't have a problem there. Even though it's a 6th ranked DVP against that small forward / power forward or position, I think we can look to Ronnie Hollis Jefferson. Jaylen Brown is a no for me. Kenneth Reed's probably out. PJ Tucker is what really fucked us up with Norman Powell last time because he got the start. And maybe that happens again because the Atlanta Hawks are a much bigger team than the Toronto Raptors, going small with starting Norman Powell. So you might see that again. And if we do, I think PJ Tucker deserves some consideration. I like CJ Miles at 4K. I don't have a problem there. Jamal Murray is a player that I kind of like at 4K. Kelly Olynyk as well. No Amir Johnson for me tomorrow. Juancho is a no for me. Nikolai Mirotic is probably played himself out of the rotation. Kosta Koufos deserves consideration at 3.9K. DeMar Carroll, I really hope he sits out tomorrow. He is questionable and sitting at 3.8K. Tony Snell at 3.8K. He can have a good game whenever he wants to. He can. Namia Bielita at 3.8. I think I'm going to take a shot on him because I think Shabazz Muhammad got the start last time. He didn't play well, and I think they're going to go back to maybe some more Bielita. Zaja Pachulia at 3.8. That's a solid play for me. I like that. Michael Carter Williams is no for me. Garrett Temple, no. Buddy Hield, no. Matthew Dellavedova, he does deserve consideration. He really does. Monte Ellis is a no for me. Pat McCaw, no. Terrence Jones, no. Shabazz Muhammad, 3.6. If he starts for some reason, we can give him a play, definitely. Nene at 3.6 is something that we need to be looking at as well. I'd love Karis LeVert in a spot that he's in at 3.6. He started last time out, did not have a great game, but if he starts against the Dallas Mavericks, I like Karis LeVert. He's still very cheap at 3.6. Emmanuel Mudiay is not really a part of the rotation. Sam Dekker is a no for me. Matt Barnes is a no. Sky Labissiere is a player that I don't really like very much. I kind of like Ian Mahinmi at 3.5. Let's say this game blows out. We could see 25 minutes for Ian Mahinmi, and that's a really good point per minute player. Jeff Green is a no. Jerian Grant, no. Dinwiddie is a no. Let's go ahead and find. Now, look at these two. Marco Bellinelli and Jeremy Lamb. Now, if for some reason the ankle is bothering Nick Batum, we could see one of those guys come off of the bench and have a really solid game. The problem is which one. And I would go in this matchup against the Orlando Magic. I would go not with the rebounder, but not with the guy, the straight shooter, but the guy that can get other peripheral stats as well. And that'd be Jeremy Lamb. I kind of like Jeremy Lamb tomorrow. JJ Barea at 3.3K is coming back, going to be playing limited minutes, so don't fall for that. Aaron Aflalo is the worst basketball player in all of professional basketball. 3.3K is the price for him. They should pay you to roster this dude. This dude fucking sucks. Aaron Aflalo is a bum. John Henson is a no. Sean Livingston deserves consideration somewhat. No Paul Zipser for me. Anthony Tolliver, no. Brandon Jennings could see some solid minutes in the backup point guard role. Devin Harris is probably the guy at 3.1K out of these few guys who I kind of like. I kind of like Devin Harris 3.1K. I think he'd be a solid play. Delon Wright, take a look at him, man. The price is only 3K on him. He's had some pretty solid games recently, and he's been getting an uptick in minutes. So take a look at him. Let's find a 3K play today besides that guy we just talked about. Let's see. Rodney Stuckey at 3K. You've got Bayal Jefferson at 3K, somebody that we may be able to look at. Seraphin is at 3K as well. Terry Rozier at 3K. We can look at that. So there's a few plays. Darrell Arthur could be in line for some solid minutes attacking the Boston Celtics, rebounding the basketball. We know we're not going to see Kenneth Faried. That could be a solid play at 3K. I kind of like Darrell Arthur tomorrow. Ian Clark, no, not too much. Well, let's go ahead and invest ourselves in the point totals. We're going to check those out because now that we've kind of built our initial player pool, it's in our head. I'm going to go back and watch the video, of course, to write down everybody that I talked about because I like to do like a reaction to the guys that I see. And now that we do that, we have that player pool. in our heads, kind of just swirling around, what we're gonna do is go ahead and jump into the point totals for tonight's 8-game slate, and we do this just so we know where we're gonna invest the most of our DraftKings salary, and we like to target games, specific games. So let's go ahead and talk about the first game on the slate. This is a 206.5 point total. This is the Orlando Magic going to Charlotte to take on the Hornets at the Beehive. Kemba's at home, so you know I like him. I like Batum more though. I think we can definitely attack the Orlando Magic. We can attack the Charlotte Hornets, rebounding the basketball, and there's a couple of ways to do that. You can do that for the very, very cheap with a guy like Bismack Biyombo. If you don't see Vucevic, you can go ahead and pay top dollar 7.3K for a good center in this game, Vucevic. Or you might be able to look down to a guy like Aaron Gordon, because he does hit the boards, and he's going to have no problem rebounding the basketball, in my opinion, against the Charlotte Hornets. Elfrid Payton coming off of 2 triple doubles. Do you want to take a shot there? Are you pissing in the wind? It's an 8-point spread. The Charlotte Hornets are giving up 8 points to the Orlando Magic. Don't know if I'm being fucking too heavy with Elfrid Payton, but I probably will have some exposure. I like Evan Fournier a little bit more in this game. He's probably my favorite play from this game, actually. Next game I'm going to talk about is the Toronto Raptors going to Atlanta to take on the Hawks. This is the lowest point total on the slate. It's a 201 point total. Not a lot to love about this game. Is the point total low because guys are going to be missing a lot of shots, getting a lot of rebounds, or is it just these guys are very slow paced? Well, I think it's going to be the latter. I think we're going to see some solid rebounding, especially from the Atlanta front court. We know DeMar DeRozan is a jump shooter. We know, that Norman Powell is a guy that likes to shoot the ball deep, and we can see some solid rebounding on the Atlanta side. And if I had to attack it in some way, it's hard for me to like both Millsap and Dwight Howard, but I like Dwight Howard a little bit more in this game because I think he just has that overwhelming edge on Jonas Valanciunas in the low post. I just think he does. He can play very well with his back to the basket against Jonas, and I don't have a problem with rostering him tomorrow. Dennis Schroeder deserves consideration as well. Also, Thabo Sefolosha is a player that I kind of like. On the Toronto side, the only guy that I'm really, really like on right now is going to be DeMar DeRozan. I like him at 8.5K. I think he's in a solid blow-up spot. Not too much else that we like besides Norman Powell. On the Toronto side, he's priced up to 4.3. Next game I'm going to talk about is the Houston Rockets going to Chicago to take on the Bulls. Now, the beauty of this game is it's the highest point total on the slate. 223 points is the total. And the Boston-Denver point total has not been released yet. That could eclipse this. But, I mean, the spread is only 4.5. So you give me James Harden in a 223-point total on the road, giving up 4.5 points, I'll take that all day long. And it makes me like Jimmy Butler on the other side as well at 9.4K. There's a few guys that I like on the Houston side. We're talking about Pat Beverly, going to be matched up against some scrubs against the Chicago perimeter. We can also look to Trevor Ariza. We know they're going to need that deep shooting threat from somewhere, and we may not see Ryan Anderson, so it all could fall on Ariza, on Beverly, Eric Gordon coming off of the bench trying to knock down some three-point shots. So this is a pretty good game. I think this game's got a ton of fantasy goodness. Nobody's going to want to play too many guys off of the Chicago side. The only motherfucker that probably going to get played is Jimmy Butler. That's probably the only person that's going to get played. And back to the Houston side, I do like Clint Capella as well. Next game we're going to talk about is the 209-point total. It's the Milwaukee Bucks at home, defending home court against the Indiana Pacers. We talked about this game already some when we did our player pricing. I'm not too heavy on Giannis tonight. That 72-point game that we saw was a really great game. I think Chris Middleton has a much better game for the price point at home against the Indiana Pacers, so I like him a little bit more. I think Greg Monroe deserves consideration, but I would much rather go to the other side in center and go ahead and pick up Miles Turner at 5.4K. He doesn't have to do much to hit value. We're talking 6x value for this guy. It's like 33 DraftKings points. That is very doable, and especially in a plus matchup against a bad rebounding team like the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't have any problem. It seems like all they do is when somebody misses a shot, they all box out so Giannis can get the rebound. And sometimes he don't be there fast enough. It seems like that's what they do. On the Indiana side, Paul George definitely in play for me. I do like some Jeff Teague as a contrarian tournament play. I like him in that spot. We talked about Thaddeus Young, another contrarian tournament play at 4.2K. He could double for you in this matchup. The next game I'm going to talk about is the Golden State Warriors going to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. It's a 216.5 point total. Not horrible, but just not what you expect when you think about the Golden State Warriors and the prolific scoring that we've seen from them over the past couple seasons. Not a big fan of most of the Golden State guys. The only guy that I really feel like I can roster with complete confidence is going to be Klay Thompson. I kind of like Klay Thompson. Give me some Jaja as well, 3.8K. That's very cheap. He can go out and score some quick buckets. May see something like foul trouble going up against Karl Anthony Towns in a low post though. So we want to be on the lookout for, if we really feel like we can win rostering a guy at 3.8K like Jaja Pachulia. On the Minnesota side, Wiggins is in play for me. The two guys that I kind of like the most, whenever I like Ricky Rubio, I automatically like Gorgui Dieng. And I kind of like Ricky Rubio. The more we talked about it, the more I'm feeling Ricky Rubio and how he's been playing very well, even though the matchups haven't been very good. I just like him. And when I like him, I like Gorgui Dieng. So that's where I would go. Shabazz Muhammad and Nemanja Bjelica. Who's going to be the first guy, off of the bench onto the court? We need to ask ourselves that. Really dig into some research when it comes to who's going to be playing the most, or who's going to be playing the most minute. Shabazz Muhammad or Nemanja Bjelica. Let's do some research on that. Next game I'm going to talk about is the Brooklyn Nets going to Dallas to take on the Mavericks. This is another surprising total. Dallas is involved, and it's a 212.5 point total. And the only reason why the point total is above 200 because the Dallas Mavericks are playing the Brooklyn Nets, and we know that those guys can score. Now they're giving up 9 points to the Brooklyn Nets. So the Nets are a road dog. I don't love road dogs. A lot of people are going to want to know, well, who's going to be starting in place of Brook Lopez? Who benefits the most from Brook Lopez being out? And on the surface, it would tell you, oh, the guy that's casually at 3K. And Justin Hamilton, but maybe it benefits Trevor Booker the most. And that's why I'm going to be having a lot of my Brooklyn exposure. Trevor Booker, maybe some Jeremy Lin, and Caris LeVert. Those are the guys that I really like from the Brooklyn side. On the other side of the ball, we're talking about the Dallas Mavericks. Yogi Ferrell is in play. Anytime you're playing against the Brooklyn Nets, the primary ball handler should see a fair amount of looks at the basket and be able to, assist the ball and do whatever he needs to do to get that DraftKings score up. So I don't have a problem there. I do like Harrison Barnes in this spot. I think we can also take a look at Dirk Nowitzki at 6.1K. That's a very nice price on him, especially after what happened the other night when he scored his 30,000th NBA point. So I think we can look at him there. Lil Brown deserves consideration. I mean, anytime the Brooklyn Nets are playing, man, you can just roll on them motherfuckers with damn near, whoever is starting is going to be seeing a ton of minutes, can play well against the Brooklyn Nets. The next game we're going to talk about is the Boston Celtics going to Denver to take on the Nuggets. There's not yet a point total and or spread released from this game because we know we've got some injuries we're dealing with on the Denver side, most notably Nikola Jokic. That point total should come out early today. And I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios, man. I like stacking a Boston on this slate. And we talked about 3 of them. I like Isaiah, Bradley, and also Horford in this matchup. Because I am not afraid of Denver rebounding the basketball, especially on the offensive end. I'm not worried about that. I think the Boston Celtics can control the boards, with guys like Jay Crowder, who I'm not particularly high on, but Kelly Olynyk coming off the bench. Of course, we got Amir Johnson gonna be hitting the boards, kind of crash a little bit, and also my favorite play from the game, man, is Al Horford. I like Al Horford tomorrow. So as we know, the Celtics aren't one of the league's best rebounding teams, but going against the Dallas Mavericks, who kind of suck in the front court anyway, defensively, I don't have a problem going there. Not at all. Next game I'm going to talk about, and the last game on the slate, is a 213.5 point total. It is the Washington Wizards giving up 8 points to the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings are a road dog. There's a lot of fight. Are a home dog. They got a lot of fight in the home dog. I think if whoever gets this game right really walks away from everybody else and really separates themselves in their tournaments and GPP. So taking a shot at getting this game right, I like Beal and Wall. I like those guys as a combination. I think one of the tandems go off. Either Beal and Wall go off, or Bradley and or Bradley and IT2 go off. And that's just the feeling that I have on the outset. That's the feeling that I have. So I do like the the backcourt combination from the Washington Wizards, talking about Bradley Beal as well as John Wall. I think Gortat deserves consideration, but I would go at the smaller power forward to complete that three-man stack, and it will be between Markieff Morris as well as Otto Porter. I'm kind of leaning more towards Porter. I like the matchup that he's in. Wilson Chandler is a fairly decent defender, so he would probably be matched up with Markieff Morris if we don't see Nikola Jokic. So there's a little bit of uncertainty involved in this game, but overall the slate is very manageable. There are some palatable plays, some guys that I don't have any problem rostering, and there's a few guys that I know I will not be playing. So whenever I have that dynamic where I know who I want and I know who I don't, that makes for a much better roster construction on my end. The last game, it was, of course, the Washington Wizards, the Wizards and the Sacramento Kings. Talking about the Kings, Ty Lawson over Darren Collison at this point. Collison has not been playing very well. Lawson has been getting all the minutes, even though he may not start the game. We can also look to cheaper guys to attack the Washington Wizards on the boards. Costa Koufos, maybe some Willie Cauley-Stein, some Skal Labissière. There's a few guys that we can look at if we want to get something invested in this late night game and really have a late night hammer to help us out. So this has been your DFS Jerusalem. Follow me, of course, on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. We just broke down the slate, went through everything we needed to go to. Thank you so much for your support of the show, of the YouTube channel, of the website, of the Twitter, the Facebook, everything. I thank you so much for all of your support. If you would like to support the show further, go ahead, click that box. It says support the show. Let that motherfucker take you where it gotta take you. Also, you can look down in the comments. There's going to be a link to copy some DFS Sweatshop swag. 100% gilded cotton. We've got t-shirts. We've got hoodies. We've got the long sleeve shirts, ladies shirts, whatever you need. Go ahead and hit that up and outfit yourself in the DFS Sweatshop swaganometry. Ooh, swaganometry. Go ahead and outfit yourself in that. The Sweatshop swag. That's all good. Also, you can support my personal PayPal at simmonsmaurice95@yahoo.com, or if you want to become a full-fledged member of the DFS Sweatshop, it is as simple as going to the website at www.dfssweatshop.com. That is where you'll be placed on our mailing list to receive our daily newsletter. You will be receiving all of the tips and tricks and tutelage. You will have limited privileged access to all of our tutorial videos. You will be welcomed into the very best Facebook group online. So that and so much more coming in store for you for a price of half a cup of coffee. 50 punk ass and 2 punk ass quarters a day can get you all of that. So come on and get with me. Let's play DFS the way it's supposed to be played together. Go out and keep it 300. This has been your DFS Jerusalem. Let's go. Let's have a profitable and really, really great Friday. Let's keep it 300, y'all.